The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council stretched a mile high, its crystal walls shimmering with the light of 3 suns. Ambassador Thomas Reynolds stood tall, his simple black suit a stark contrast to the flowing robes and biomechanical enhancements of the alien representatives. His heart pounded, but his face remained calm. This was humanity's moment. "Distinguished members of the Council," he began, his voice clear and strong. "Earth comes before you as equals, seeking partnership in this vast galaxy." The Centaurian High Speaker, a towering figure with crystalline features, raised a glowing hand for silence. The hundreds of alien representatives floating in their anti-gravity pods turned to face the lone human. "We have reviewed your application." The High Speaker's voice boomed through the chamber. "We find humanity lacking." Reynolds felt his stomach drop, but years of diplomatic training kept his expression neutral. "May I ask on what grounds?" Dr. Emily Walsh, standing slightly behind Reynolds, gripped her data pad tighter. She had spent 5 years preparing Earth's technological presentation. The small movement caught the High Speaker's attention. "Your species still uses physical devices for computation." The High Speaker's tone dripped with disgust. "You haven't even mastered basic telepathic communication. Your fastest ships barely reach light speed. You are primitive." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Some representatives didn't even bother to hide their laughter. "With respect," Reynolds countered, "humanity has achieved more in 3 centuries of spaceflight than many species have in a millennium. We've colonized Mars, established bases throughout our solar system, and developed clean fusion power, achievements any child race could stumble upon." Another council member interrupted. "This one had 4 arms and skin like polished brass. You still rely on mechanical devices for space travel. Your bodies are unmodified. You lack even basic genetic engineering." Emily stepped forward, unable to stay silent. "Our primitive technology has solved problems your species still struggles with. Our medical nanites." Silence. The High Speaker's voice shook the crystal walls. "The human female will not speak out of turn." Reynolds placed a calming hand on Emily's shoulder, but his own anger was building. He could feel the contempt radiating from the council members. "The council's decision is final," the High Speaker declared. "Earth is denied membership. Furthermore, we are implementing a Class 3 quarantine. No advanced technology will be shared with your species. No council race will engage in trade with Earth or its colonies. You are not ready." The shock hit Reynolds like a physical blow. A Class 3 quarantine. That was usually reserved for violent, unstable species. He opened his mouth to protest, but Emily's sharp intake of breath made him turn. She was staring at her data pad, her face pale. Years of studying alien biology had taught her to read between the lines. The subtle shifts in the council members' postures, the particular frequency of their bioluminescence, it all pointed to something else. "They're afraid," she whispered to Reynolds. "Look at their stress indicators. They're not dismissing us because we're primitive. They're afraid of how fast we're advancing." Reynolds' eyes widened slightly as he processed this. He looked back at the council with new understanding. The contempt, the quarantine. It wasn't about humanity's current level of technology. It was about what humanity might become. The High Speaker was still talking, listing out the restrictions that would be placed on Earth. No sharing of FTL technology, no access to council space lanes, no diplomatic relations with member species. Reynolds listened with growing fury, but kept his diplomatic mask in place. If they wanted to turn their backs on humanity, fine. They would learn what a mistake that was. As they were escorted out of the chamber, Emily was already making notes on her pad. "We need to get this data back to Earth immediately," she said. "The energy readings I collected, the biological scans, we can learn so much from even this brief contact." Reynolds nodded. "Send everything to Admiral Cooper. If they won't share their technology, we'll develop our own. If they won't trade with us, we'll become self-sufficient. And if they think this quarantine will keep humanity down, He paused at the doorway of the massive chamber, looking back at the dismissive council. They have no idea what they've just started. The crystalline doors slid shut behind them with a final echoing boom. But for humanity, this wasn't an end. It was a beginning. Earth would remember this day, and the galaxy would learn that turning its back on humanity was the greatest mistake the Council had ever made. Admiral James Cooper stood at the window of his underground office on Mars, watching robotic constructors build what officially didn't exist. The massive shipyard stretched for miles beneath the red planet's surface, hidden from prying eyes and orbital scans. "Status report," he said, not turning around. Rebecca Anderson, his head engineer, pulled up a holographic display. Her worn work boots and oil-stained coveralls stood out against the clean military office. "The first stealth carrier is ahead of schedule. We've solved the heat dispersion problem." "Show me." Rebecca's fingers danced through the hologram, bringing up technical specs. "We're using a system based on Dr. Walsh's analysis of Centaurian biology. Their crystalline structures don't just reflect light. They bend space slightly. We've replicated it." Cooper finally turned from the window, his eyes sharp. "You're telling me we can bend space?" "Small scale, yes." Rebecca's face broke into a proud smile. "Any scan just slides around our ships. As far as the Council's sensors are concerned, we'll be invisible." The Admiral walked to his desk and pressed a button. A hidden panel slid open, revealing a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses. "I'd say that deserves a drink." As he poured, more reports came in. The Luna shipyards were operating at full capacity. The asteroid belt factories were converting raw materials into warships at an incredible pace. All hidden, all unofficial. "There's more," Rebecca said, accepting the glass. "The weapon systems we developed. They're better than we hoped. The Council races rely too heavily on their shield technology. They haven't developed physical armor in centuries." Cooper nodded. "And our kinetic weapons? We'll go right through their shields like they're not even there." Rebecca took a sip. "They're so focused on energy weapons and fancy force fields, they forgot about good old-fashioned physics." A quiet beep interrupted them. The Admiral's screen lit up with a message from Earth Command. More Council ships had been spotted near the outer colonies. Not attacking, just watching, waiting. "They think their quarantine is working," Cooper said quietly. "They think they're keeping us contained while they decide what to do with us." Rebecca snorted. "They don't understand humans very well, do they?" "No," Cooper agreed. "They don't." He brought up another hologram, this one showing Earth's solar system and the nearby stars. Small dots represented their hidden assets: shipyards, factories, research stations. The Council thought they had humanity trapped in one system. They didn't realize that humans had been preparing for space warfare since before they could reach space. "Production report from Luna Base," Rebecca said, reading from her tablet. "The first batch of AI warfare systems is ready. David Thompson's team outdid themselves. The processing speed is unlike anything the Council has, because they rely on telepathic computing," Cooper said. "They never developed digital eye." Another weakness. They worked through the night, reviewing reports and making adjustments. The Council's quarantine had meant to cripple Earth's development. Instead, it had forced humanity to become entirely self-sufficient. Every problem was solved with human ingenuity. Every setback made them stronger. Near dawn, Mars time, Cooper received another message. This one made him smile. "The Nemesis is ready for its first test flight," he announced. Rebecca's eyes lit up. "The stealth systems, fully operational. As far as anyone watching is concerned, it'll just be another routine cargo shuttle launch." Cooper finished his drink. "By the time they realize what we've built, it'll be too late." They walked together to the observation deck. Through the reinforced windows, they could see the massive shape of humanity's first stealth carrier. Its dark hull seemed to swallow light. The design was unlike anything the Council races used. Angular, aggressive, built for war rather than show. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Rebecca said softly. Cooper nodded. How many more can we build? With the automated systems running at full capacity, dozens, hundreds eventually. She checked her tablet, and each one capable of taking on 3 council ships of similar size. The Admiral watched as maintenance crews made final checks on the Nemesis. The Council thought they had contained humanity, locked them away like children in a playpen. They didn't understand that isolation had only made humans more determined, more innovative, more dangerous. Send word to all facilities, Cooper ordered. Accelerate production. I want our fleet ready ahead of schedule. They won't see us coming, sir. No, Cooper agreed, watching the Nemesis power up its engines. They won't, and by the time they do, humanity will be ready to show the galaxy exactly what a primitive species can do. The massive ship lifted silently from its berth, its stealth systems making it fade from view like a ghost. Above, through miles of Martian rock, Council ships continued their patrol, unaware that right beneath them, humanity's revenge was taking shape. Lieutenant Michael Hayes watched his radar screen with growing anger. 3 more civilian ships had gone dark near the New Gibraltar colony. The pirates were getting bolder. Everyone knew they were really Council-backed forces, testing Earth's defenses, but no one could prove it. Status report. He called out to his bridge crew aboard the defense station. 6 unknown ships approaching. Lisa Mitchell answered from her tactical station. Her fingers flew over the controls as she tracked the incoming vessels. Same energy signatures as the last 3 attacks. Hayes nodded grimly. How many colonists still out there? Mining vessel with 22 people aboard, Lisa replied. They're trying to reach the safety zone, but those ships are faster. The pirates had attacked 12 times in the past month. Each time, they claimed to be independent raiders. Each time, they used weapons that were suspiciously similar to Council designs. Hayes opened a channel to the mining vessel. This is Lieutenant Hayes. Hold your course. Help is coming. But what help? His station had a few outdated defense platforms. The pirates had state-of-the-art Council weapons. They all knew how this would end. Then his comm unit crackled. A new voice, cool and confident. New Gibraltar Station. This is Captain Wilson of the Earth ship Nemesis. Stand by. Hayes froze. There were no Earth ships scheduled to be in this sector. Before he could respond, Lisa gasped. Sir, new contact just appeared out of nowhere. It's huge. The Nemesis seemed to materialize from empty space, its dark hull absorbing light rather than reflecting it. It was bigger than any ship Hayes had ever seen, its design completely unlike the smooth curved Council vessels. This ship looked like a predator. The pirate ships scattered immediately. They hadn't expected real opposition, but the Nemesis moved with impossible speed for its size. This is Captain Wilson to all hostile vessels. A calm voice broadcasted on all frequencies. You have violated Earth space and threatened our citizens. Surrender or be destroyed. The pirates responded with energy weapons, the same advanced weapons the Council had denied to Earth. The shots passed harmlessly through the space where Nemesis appeared to be. Interesting, Lisa breathed, watching her tactical display. The ship's not just invisible. It's bending space around itself. Those shots aren't missing. They're being redirected. Hayes watched in amazement as the Nemesis launched its own weapons. Not energy beams or plasma torpedoes, but simple kinetic rounds accelerated to near light speed. The pirate shields, designed to stop energy weapons, did nothing against solid projectiles. 2 pirate ships exploded instantly. A third tried to run but found itself caught in some kind of gravity web. The remaining raiders attempted to jump to faster than light speed, but something from the Nemesis blocked their drives. Attention New Gibraltar Station. Captain Wilson's voice came again. Please prepare to receive prisoners. We have questions for them about their Council-made weapons. Within 20 minutes, it was over. 4 pirate ships destroyed, 2 captured. The mining vessel safely docked, and proof. Finally, of the Council's involvement in the attacks. Lisa pulled up the sensor readings from the battle. "Sir, that ship, it's using technology I've never seen before. The way it moves, its weapons, we're not supposed to have anything like this." Hayes smiled. He understood now. While the Council had been watching Earth's official shipyards and registered vessels, humanity had been building something entirely different in secret. The Nemesis wasn't just a ship, it was a message to the galaxy. "Lieutenant Mitchell," he said, "send word to Earth Command. Tell them." He paused, watching the captured pirate ships being towed into dock. "Tell them the test was successful. The pirates won't be bothering us anymore." On his screen, he could see escape pods being collected from the destroyed ships. Even in victory, the Nemesis crew was showing mercy, saving the lives of their attackers. Not because they had to, but because that's what humans did. "Sir," Lisa reported, "the Nemesis is preparing to leave. Captain Wilson says they have other colonies to check on." Hayes nodded. He knew this was just the beginning. The Council had thought they could bully humanity with their quarantine, weaken them with pirates and raids. Instead, they had forced humanity to become stronger, more innovative, more determined. As the Nemesis vanished back into the darkness of space, Hayes felt a deep satisfaction. The Council would soon learn that their greatest mistake wasn't turning their backs on humanity. It was giving humanity a reason to prove them wrong. Colonel Robert Wilson stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Thunder, watching as 500 human ships dropped their stealth fields at once. The Centauri Defense Fleet, caught completely by surprise, scrambled to respond. "All ships report ready," his AI warfare officer, Dr. David Thompson, announced. His station glowed with streams of data as their AI systems predicted enemy movements before they happened. "They still haven't detected our second fleet behind their moon." Wilson nodded. "Send the message." The words were simple, broadcast in perfect Centaurian. "You turned your backs on us. Now face us." The Centauri ships, beautiful crystal structures that gleamed in their sun's light, formed up in traditional attack patterns. Their commanders had fought 1,000 battles over 10,000 years, but they had never fought humans. Enemy ships powering weapons, Captain Jennifer Brooks reported from her intelligence station. Her team had broken the Centauri encryption months ago. "They're using standard Council combat protocols, exactly like our simulations predicted." Wilson allowed himself a small smile. "Launch fighters." From every human ship, swarms of small craft emerged. But unlike traditional fighters, these were unmanned drones, controlled by Thompson's AI systems. They moved with impossible speed and precision. No living pilot could have survived their maneuvers. "Sir," Thompson called out, "their shields are adapting to our kinetic weapons." "Right on schedule," Wilson replied calmly. "Deploy Phase 2. The human fleet's main guns opened fire, but instead of solid rounds, they fired special shells that burst into clouds of smart dust. The microscopic machines slipped through the tiny gaps in Centauri shields, attaching to their crystal hulls. "They're trying to contact their high command," Brooks reported, listening to the panicked Centauri communications. "Should we block them?" Wilson shook his head. "Let them call for help. Let them all see." The smart dust began its work, reprogramming the Centauri ships from the outside in. Weapons powered down. Engines stalled. The mighty defense fleet of the Council's oldest race hung helpless in space. "Second fleet in position," Thompson announced. "All orbital defense stations targeted. President Anderson is online," Brooks added. "She's ready to deliver our terms to the Council." Wilson looked at the tactical display. 3 hours. It had taken just 3 hours to neutralize the fleet that had protected Centauri Prime for millennia. Not with overwhelming force, but with human ingenuity. With weapons and tactics the Council races had never imagined. "Sir," Thompson's voice was urgent. "Large power spike from the surface. They're activating some kind of planetary defense system." Wilson had expected this. "Launch the blackout pods." Small dark objects shot from the human ships, descending toward the Centauri capital. As they entered the atmosphere, they released electromagnetic pulses specially tuned to crystalline technology. The entire city went dark. Message from their first speaker, Brooks reported. They're asking for terms. The mighty Centaurians, who had dismissed Earth as primitive, were surrendering. Not to superior force, but to superior adaptation, to human creativity. Show me the orbital stations, Wilson ordered. The view changed to show the massive crystalline structures that had controlled Centauri space for generations. Now they were dark, controlled by human eye. In their databanks lay the secrets of Council technology, free for humanity to study. Sir, Thompson said quietly, what we found in their databases, they didn't just fear us. They knew what we could become. Their simulations showed humanity surpassing them within a century. Wilson nodded. And now, we did it in 10 years. The colonel turned to face his crew. Each of them represented humanity's response to rejection. Thompson had created AI that could outthink ancient alien computers. Brooks had broken codes they thought unbreakable. Together, they had proven that humanity didn't need the Council's approval to reach the stars. Send word to Earth, he ordered. Operation Thunderstrike is complete. The heart of Council space is now under human control. He paused, looking at the beautiful crystal cities below. And tell them we did it without destroying a single Centauri ship or taking a single life. That was the final message to the galaxy. Humanity could have chosen vengeance. Instead, they chose to prove their worth. They had defeated the Council's greatest fleet not through destruction, but through innovation. As the sun rose over Centauri Prime, its light reflected off the hulls of Earth's ships. The galaxy was changing. The old powers were falling. And humanity, the race they had rejected, was leading the way to a new future. A future they had earned, not through age or tradition, but through the very ingenuity the Council had feared. Ambassador Mark Stevens walked through the halls of the new Earth Embassy on Proxima II, noting how different things were now. Just 6 months ago, this bustling trade hub had banned all human visitors. Today, alien diplomats lined up to meet with Earth representatives. Another request from the Arcturus Federation, his assistant reported, hurrying to keep up with his long strides. They want to discuss technology sharing. Stevens smiled. The same federation that voted to quarantine us. They claimed they were missiled by the Centaurians. In the main conference room, Technical Director Grace Parker was showing a group of young alien races how Earth's fusion reactors worked. Her simple blue uniform stood out among their elaborate robes, but they hung on her every word. The designs are yours to use, she was saying. Earth believes in sharing knowledge, not hoarding it. Stevens paused to watch. Every alien in that room represented a race that had broken away from the Council's control. They had seen how humanity handled the Centauri surrender, with mercy and wisdom rather than revenge. Now they wanted to be part of humanity's rising star. Ambassador, a voice called. Stevens turned to see Robert Wilson, now promoted to general, approaching with a group of military observers from 3 different species. The joint defense exercises were a success, Wilson reported. Their ships are already being fitted with our AI systems. Stevens nodded. This was humanity's real victory, not the defeat of the Centaurians, but the alliances that followed. Earth was showing the galaxy a different way. No more rigid hierarchies, no more hoarding of knowledge, no more treating younger races as inferior. In her laboratory down the hall, Grace Parker pulled up a hologram showing the improvements they'd made to alien technology. See here, she explained to her eager students. Your crystalline computers were actually limiting yourselves. By combining them with our digital systems, we've increased their efficiency by 300%. One of the alien scientists, a young one from a race that had only achieved spaceflight a decade ago, raised an appendage. Why are you sharing these advances? The Council always demanded heavy payments for even basic technology. Grace's answer was simple. Because that's what humans do. We grow stronger by helping others grow stronger. Meanwhile, Stevens entered his private office to find an urgent message waiting. More council races were requesting membership in the new Free Systems Alliance. The old power structure was crumbling faster than anyone had expected. Put together a welcome package for them, he told his assistant. Make sure they understand our terms. No more technology hoarding, no more treating younger races as inferior, and full sharing of scientific knowledge. A soft chime announced another visitor. Jennifer Brooks, now head of Alliance Intelligence, entered with a datapad. The last holdouts among the council races are meeting in secret, she reported. They're scared. They've seen how many of their former allies have joined us. Stevens settled behind his desk. And what are they saying about us now? That they were wrong. Jennifer's smile was satisfied. That humanity's primitive approach to science and diplomacy has proven superior to their traditions. Some are even suggesting that our creativity and adaptability make us the perfect species to lead the galaxy into a new age. Through his office window, Stevens could see ships from 20 different species docked at the spaceport. Trade was flowing freely. Technology was being shared. Young races were being mentored rather than suppressed. Send a message to Earth, he told Jennifer. Tell them Phase 5 is proceeding ahead of schedule. The Alliance is growing faster than we hoped. She nodded and left, passing Grace Parker in the doorway. The technical director was beaming. You should see what these younger races can do when we give them a chance, Grace said. Some of them are already improving on our designs. Together, we're advancing faster than the Council ever did in 1,000 years. Stevens walked to the window, watching the busy spaceport below. Humans worked alongside aliens at every station, sharing knowledge, solving problems together. This was humanity's true victory, not conquering the galaxy, but showing it a better way. The Council thought isolation would weaken us, he said quietly. Instead, it taught us the most important lesson of all. What's that? Grace asked. That true strength comes from lifting others up, not pushing them down. He turned from the window. And now the galaxy is learning that lesson too. Outside, ships of the Free Systems Alliance patrolled peacefully, their crews a mix of all races. The old Council's fear of humanity had become a self-fulfilling prophecy, but not in the way they expected. Humanity hadn't conquered the galaxy. They had changed it for the better. Dr. Andrew Carter's hands moved quickly over the lab controls as warning alarms blared throughout the Alliance medical station. 3 more worlds had reported attacks, not with ships or weapons, but with something far more deadly, engineered viruses. Status report. Major Patricia Foster barked as she entered the lab. Her combat armor was still dusty from her last mission. The remaining Council races are using biological weapons, Andrew said, not looking up from his work. They've modified their own viral agents to target human DNA. The screens around them showed the spread of infection on colony worlds. The Council, in their desperation to stop humanity's rising influence, had crossed a line no one had expected. They're not just targeting us anymore, Patricia added grimly. Any race that joined our alliance is getting hit. They're punishing everyone who sided with Earth. Andrew nodded, his fingers flying over the controls. But they made a mistake. A big one. He pulled up a detailed scan of the virus structure. Look familiar. Patricia leaned closer. That's Centaurian biotech. Exactly. They're using the same basic technology they've always used. The same technology we've spent years studying and improving. Andrew allowed himself a small smile. They thought they were being clever. Instead, they handed us the key to stopping them. In orbit above them, the Alliance's newest medical ships prepared for deployment. They looked more like warships than hospital vessels, painted in dark colors with powerful engines. They were humanity's answer to biological warfare. Team 2 is ready, Patricia reported, checking her tactical display. We've got strike teams on standby near all the infected worlds. Andrew pressed a final button, and the lab's fabricators hummed to life. The virus shield is ready. Start loading it into the deployment pods. This was humanity's latest innovation. Not a cure, but a protective field that could cover an entire planet, destroying harmful biological agents while leaving normal life untouched. The Council had expected their virus attack to cripple the Alliance. Instead, it had pushed human medical technology ahead by decades. First deployment successful, Patricia announced, watching the feeds from the nearest colony. The shield spread like a gentle rain, a barely visible shimmer in the air. Where it touched, the engineered viruses simply fell apart. Multiple Council ships detected. A voice called over the comm. They're trying to stop the medical teams from reaching the outer colonies. Patricia checked her weapons. That's my cue. My teams will keep them busy while your people deploy the shields. Andrew caught her arm before she left. They're using desperation tactics now. Be careful out there. She nodded. Just keep that shield working. We're not losing anyone else to their games. Across Alliance space, the battle unfolded. Council ships tried to maintain their viral blockade, but they faced something they didn't expect. Humanity's response wasn't just medical, it was military too. Patricia's teams used hit-and-run tactics, appearing from stealth to clear paths for the medical ships. The Council forces, trained in traditional space combat, couldn't adapt to these guerrilla warfare techniques. Shield deployment at 60% coverage. Andrew reported hours later, every protected world is showing full virus elimination. The screens around him told the story. The Council's biological weapon was failing. But more importantly, the Alliance was saving everyone, even populations on worlds still loyal to the Council. Enemy fleet approaching. Patricia's voice crackled over the comm. Big one. Looks like they're making a final push to stop us. Andrew watched through the station's windows as Alliance ships moved to intercept. The Council fleet was impressive, almost beautiful in its desperation. But they were fighting against something they couldn't understand. Humanity's drive to protect and save lives, not just to win. Shield coverage at 80%, he announced. Their weapon is failing everywhere we touch. In the space battle above, Patricia's forces were demonstrating why the Council had been right to fear human ingenuity. Their ships danced through enemy formations, striking from impossible angles, using tactics no traditional military would consider. Final shield deployment beginning, Andrew said quietly. We did it. We beat their bioweapons. The Council's last desperate gamble had failed. But more than that, they had shown the galaxy the difference between their way and humanity's way. They had tried to win through death and fear. Humanity had won by saving lives. As the last shields deployed, Andrew looked at his data screens with satisfaction. The Council hadn't just failed to destroy the Alliance. They had given humanity another chance to prove why they deserved to leave the galaxy. Not through force or fear, but through the determination to protect all life, even their enemies. Admiral Emma Richardson stood in the same great hall where Earth had been rejected 10 years ago. The crystal walls still sparkled, but now they reflected the light differently. Human engineering had improved even the building itself. The last Council vote was unanimous. Ambassador Thomas Reynolds said, standing beside her. He looked older than when he'd first stood here, but his eyes were bright with victory. They're dissolving their entire governing structure. Emma watched as alien representatives filled the hall. But unlike before, they didn't float on anti-gravity pods or try to look impressive. They walked in like equals, many wearing simple clothes similar to human styles. 10 years, she said quietly. 10 years since they turned their backs on us. Thomas smiled. And now they're asking us to lead them. The chamber grew quiet as Earth's president took the central platform. The same platform where the Centaurian High Speaker had once dismissed humanity as primitive. Now it would serve a different purpose. Representatives of the galaxy, the president began. We meet today not to end something, but to begin something new. The old council is gone. In its place, we will build the Galactic Cooperative. Emma watched the aliens' reactions. Many nodded in agreement. Some looked relieved. The younger races seemed excited. Even the former council members appeared ready for change. Earth does not seek to rule, the president continued. We seek to cooperate, to share, to grow together. The very things the old council feared are the things that will make us all stronger. Screens around the hall showed images from across the galaxy. Human ships protecting alien worlds. Earth scientists working with alien researchers. Mixed crews exploring new frontiers. The barriers were falling everywhere. Admiral, one of Emma's officers whispered, the last Council defense fleet just dropped its weapons and requested to join our combined forces. She nodded. The change was complete, not through force, but through example. Thomas stepped forward to read the new charter. First, all races are equal in the cooperative. There are no primitive species, no lesser races. We rise together. The hall erupted in applause. Emma saw many former council members cheering the loudest. They had learned that their old ways were holding them back. Second, technology and knowledge will be shared freely. Progress belongs to everyone. More cheers. Already, the mixing of human and alien technology had led to breakthroughs no one had imagined possible. Third, the strong help the weak. The advanced guide the developing. We grow stronger by lifting each other up. Emma thought about the virus shields that now protected every world, the improved ships that made space travel safer, the combined human and alien medical knowledge that was saving lives everywhere. Fourth, exploration and discovery are our highest goals. We will face the unknown together. The screens showed the new joint exploration fleets. Human adaptability combined with alien experience was pushing the boundaries of known space faster than ever. And finally, Thomas said, his voice carrying clearly, we declare that the galaxy belongs to all its people. No race or species stands above the others. We are all explorers on this great journey together. The vote that followed was just a formality. Every race, even those that had once been humanity's greatest enemies, voted to accept the new charter. The Galactic Cooperative was born. Later, as ships from 100 worlds celebrated in orbit, Emma and Thomas stood at the same window where they had once been dismissed from the council. You know what the funny thing is? Thomas said, they were right to fear us. We did change everything. Emma nodded, just not the way they expected. They thought we'd destroy them. Instead, we made them better. We made everyone better. Outside, fireworks from dozens of cultures lit up the sky. Human designs mixed with alien patterns, creating displays no single species could have imagined alone. The next exploration fleet leaves tomorrow, Emma said. Mixed crews, combined technology, going further than anyone's gone before. Thomas smiled. They turned their backs on us, trying to keep us down. Instead, they forced us to prove what humanity does best. And what's that? We don't just survive. We don't just overcome. We make things better. For everyone. As the celebrations continued across the galaxy, the old council chamber began its new life as the seat of the cooperative. Humanity had not just proven themselves worthy of the stars. They had shown the galaxy a better way to reach them. Together.